Hello there, and welcome to MTG Arena. Hello, Vivian and Haru. So, just want to open up on this page. I actually haven't played on this account since before the Baldur's Gate came out, but there's apparently a new band in Explorer, which if you don't know Explorer, that is historic without the digital only stuff. It's historic minus digital only, and it's follows the same ban list as Pioneer. Expressive Iteration is now banned. Turns out 2 mana to get to dig 3 cards through the top of your deck, put 1 in hand. 1 you get to have as a free card for that turn, and then the other one goes away. Just really powerful card selection. Too good. I actually don't know why this got banned. We might find out soon, but I'm just assuming that's why. It was just, it's a good card. A lot of people play it. So I get some wild cards for that. Very good. Oh, and look at that. Available now. Alchemy Horizons, Baldur's Gate. I have a lot of issues with the set. But before we get into that, I want to make sure I'm going into this informed. And there's actually a state of the game that Wizards of the Coast releases. I know they do it once per set. I don't know if it's something that they do once per month, though. They might do it once per month, but I know they do it once per set. And they released one with this one. I love you too, Haru. I want to read the one that they released with Baldur's Gate, because I just want to see what they have to say for themselves. So we're going to swap over to Firefox. So here we go. MTG Arena State of the Game, Alchemy Horizons, Baldur's Gate. This was published on July 6th, so it's been a while. It's been a few weeks, but I have been busy being addicted to Yu-Gi-Oh! So I haven't actually really touched the game much in a while. Also, I don't know if you can... Yeah, you can see it right here. We've got kind of the highlight of what's wrong with everything MTG. We have right here, top of the list of the featured articles. Oh, would you look at that? There's a Fortnite secret lair. Woohoo! Yeah, no, fuck that. It's the worst thing to happen to MTG ever. Yeah. So let's get into this. Let's read Beyond the Horizon. I don't know if I want to do a full read or if I just kind of want to skim through and get to the good juicy stuff. How long is it? Not terribly long. I guess we can kind of just read it. So, by now, you've seen the cards, learned about the mechanics, and even had a chance to see the cards in action during our early access event. Actually, I have not. I knew nothing about any of the Baldur's Gate cards before I booted up MTG Arena. And this Thursday, that is the Thursday of July 6th, which means not currently, Alchemy Horizons Baldur's Gate, expansion code HBG, will be here to do what Alchemy does best: introduce new cards, unleash new mechanics, and shaking things up with rebalanced versions of existing for a dynamic play experience you can only find on MTG Arena. Now that last line right there I agree with. You can only find this kind of dynamic experience on MTG Arena. You will not find it in any other form in any other platform that uses magic. It's only on Arena. However, do what Alchemy does best. Introduce new cards, unleash new mechanics, and shake things up. Is that really what Alchemy does best? Is that really what Alchemy does best? Because I would argue that Magic did that just fine without Alchemy. It didn't need Alchemy. Anyway, on to the next one. In addition to these guiding principles that have defined Alchemy since its inception, Alchemy Horizons Baldur's Gate provides us with a unique design challenge. Taking a set designed for tabletop, multiplayer, eternal format, and transforming it into a fun, fast digital experience designed for one-on-one games in both standard and historic. This was an incredibly large undertaking, but we knew it'd be worth it because in addition to our love of Baldur's Gate and all the things D&D, there's something else we, our players, love. Historic Brawl. This paragraph I can kinda... Yeah, So, like... With Baldur's Gate, they're kind of doing a thing that this is the sequel to the Forgotten Realms set, which was the D&D set, and this is basically, Wizards of the Coast owns both Magic the Gathering and D&D, so why not do a crossover? And they did, and this is kind of like their follow-up to that, and like, I can't say that this follow-up was because of the success of the Forgotten Realms set, because it's not. This was already planned before they even knew how successful it would be. And also, honestly, I think the Forgotten Realms set was kind of mid. It was fine. It had like some interesting mechanics. I kind of like the dungeon delving mechanic, but overall, it was fine. It wasn't fantastic. My experience with Magic would have been the same if they hadn't printed the set at all. But, I also like the fact that they've got cards where you roll d20s, and the classes were interesting. It had some interesting stuff. Basically, Baldur's Gate was a follow-up to that. Yeah, and they kind of had to figure out how to make this tabletop game into a card game. So yeah. And this last line here. Historic Brawl. Historic Brawl, I too enjoy Historic Brawl because my favorite format in MTG is Commander. And Arena is, at least up until now, in my opinion, the best platform where you could play MTG. Minus the fact that it had very limited options in terms of format. It only has standard, historic, alchemy, and what's the new format? Explorer. And then there's the two brawls. There's regular brawl, which is standard, and there's historic brawl. Historic brawl is the closest thing Arena has to Commander. It just follows the brawl rules, not the Commander rules. But yeah, I like Historic Brawl because it has the singleton of Commander that I love, and it has the fact that it's the historic format, meaning I get to play with every card on the platform that isn't banned in the format. There is no rotation, and that's what I like about historic. because my collection is my collection, and I get to use it however much I want. Historic Brawl was a major driving force for wanting to keep as much of the commander routes in the set as possible, and why we tried to include as many cards pulled from Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate as possible. There are few release day rebalances to a small number of cards to ensure they're better suited for one-on-one digital play, but those adjustments were relatively minor, and most of the cards from Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate should be mostly the same. So this set is actually the Historic Horizons, which is this set, was actually based around a lot of the cards in a Commander Legends set. This is a set that has a bunch of stuff going straight for Commander. And the fact that Historic Brawl is close to Commander means that's kind of what the focus of the set was, which means this set is very, very important to me as a person who loves Historic Brawl. Of course, this wouldn't be much of an alchemy set if it didn't also include all new card designs specific for digital play. Fucking hate that. These cards will be easily identifiable by the alchemy A symbol on the bottom center of the card, like the hollow stamp that appears on tabletop cards, as well as their use of digital-only mechanics, including new mechanics that bring flavor of Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate to MTG Arena. Boon, Double Team, and Specialize. Yeah, so if you know the three main mechanics that are digital only for alchemy in Arena before the set came out, they were Conjure, Perpetual, and what was the third one? Conjure, Perpetual, and I think it started with like S. Seek. Those were the three things that they were. These are three new mechanics. A double team functions in a similar way to Conjure. Specialize is kind of like Perpetual. Boon is just kind of its own thing. But these are like three new things. While we've previously covered how these mechanics work, we did want to spend a little more time today to talk about Specialize. Specialize is our take on the background mechanic. So yes, you can use cards with Specialize as your commander in Brawl. If you pick a card with Specialize as your commander, you must pick a color specialization, even if you choose to keep the card monocolored. You'll be prompted via a color wheel in the deck builder to select their specialized color identity, which will then filter your collection to adhere to Brawl color identity rules. If you dismiss the prompt without picking a color specialization, the card will be removed from your commander slot. If you're unsure of what each specialization option entails, you can right-click or tap and hold any specialized cards in your collection. Yeah, I don't really care too much about this. This is just telling you how they work when you're building a commander deck around specialized cards. However, I do have a take here. As a person, so the thing is, with these cards that have Specialize, you are forced to pick one of 5 colors that the card will specialize for, because the way the specialized cards work is they have their base monocolor, like, base, and then when you specialize them, you choose one of 5 colors, one of the 5 in MTG, and then it becomes that color, or if you choose the color that it already is, it just kind of becomes double that color. And it has various effects based on whatever color you chose that are relevant to the color. when you make a specialized card your commander, they force you to choose one, which makes sense that they'd force you to, like, it makes sense that you would have to know beforehand what your commander was specializing in, because that's kind of how the rules for Commander and Brawl are. It's all about color identity. Every card in the deck has to fit the color identity of your commander. I, however, dislike the fact that you have to choose only one. Because as a person who likes playing 5 color decks, or 4 color decks, or 3 color decks, I like to play as many colors as possible, to be honest, when I'm playing Commander. You're taking that away from me. This is a card that in my mind, I feel specialized cards should be all 5 colors. Because they are all 5 colors. You get all 5 options. So why do I not get to have that? It's disappointing. I understand why they made the decision, I just don't like the decision. So, onwards. Last but not least, to give Alchemy Horizons Battle for Baldur's Gate the full set experience, we've included cards from last year's Dungeons & Dragons Adventures in the Forgotten Realms to round out our draft and sealed experience. So, to make the set draftable, they added in some more, they brought in some cards from the D&D set and put them in. So, it's like a full draftable experience. It's a good thing this set includes a bag of holding, because it comes with a lot. Whether you're looking to start a brawl, so, the rising tide of MTG Arena. Let me hydrate real quick. When MTG Arena first came online, it supported only one main constructed format, Standard. Yeah, I remember those days. Fast forward a few years, and we still have only 2, Standard and Historic. But in the past year, we've doubled the number of our main constructed formats, Standard, Historic, Alchemy, and Explorer. So, here's the thing. I started back in 2019 with the release of War of the Spark. War of the Spark came out in 2019, and that's kind of when I started playing Arena, because at the time I was finishing up my last year of college, and I was like, all my pals that I play Commander with, I hear there's this thing called Arena, I'm gonna check it out. And I did, and there it was. There was only one format, and that was Standard, because they kinda had to do that because they only had a very limited number of sets when things started. It was with, Ixalan. Ixalan was with the main release, and so was Dominaria, and then they opened up to the Ravnica and then War of Spark. Then when the set started rotating, they introduced Historic, because people, at that point, it's well, you're in this digital space, and you have these digital cards, you can only use them in formats that are supported, and the only supported format is Standard, which rotates. So all these cards that some of you may have spent money on, you're not going to be able to use, so we're going to introduce Historic. And that was a great decision, because it's basically a new format It's just non-rotating, and it just includes all the sets on Arena. You still have Standard. Standard is still like the main set that... It's still the main format that Wizards of the Coast loves to focus on. But then you also have Historic. And then they introduced Alchemy, which is Standard but with more cards, and more Alchemy cards. And it also has the issues of like the fact that cards are constantly being rebalanced. And then Explorer is Historic, but like Standard. Standard replicates the Paper Magic experience. It's all the cards in Paper Magic. It does not have any of the Alchemy cards, anything like that. Historic is the Alchemy format. It is the Historic format that uses Alchemy cards. And then there's Explorer, which is Historic minus the Alchemy cards. And Explorer is them trying to bring back Pioneer, as I've said before. Because this has been an issue Arena has been facing for a while, because their main focus has always been Standard. They kind of like, players have been wanting Wizards of the Coast to add in older formats. Now, it might take a lot of coding and a lot of work for them to get like Legacy and Vintage into the game. But what they'll do instead, and like even Modern is a long ways away from ever happening, if it ever will happen, which I doubt. But Pioneer is kind of the closest thing they can have to one of those other formats and bring it onto the digital space. But that still requires a bit of backtracking, because Pioneer goes all the way back to Return to Ravnica, which was in 2013. 2013? Yeah. It includes all the cards from then up until now. So they'd have to do a lot of backtracking, considering the game only really started in like, what, 2018, 2017-ish? I think the official release was in 2019. So yeah, they'd have to do a lot of backtracking, and they have been doing that slowly. But again, because the main focus is Standard, they're mostly focused on the future and not as focused on the past. So Explorer is kind of to bridge the gap and give people the taste of Pioneer while they wait for actual Pioneer to move over. It is also a patch, because Historic, the mantra of Historic is it involves every card on Arena. And that includes the Alchemy cards. But some people don't want to play with the Alchemy cards, and so they have to have this new format that replicates Historic, but takes away Alchemy. That's kind of the problem with the main constructed formats. Anyway, onwards. As Magic players ourselves, it feels great to expand our offerings, including unique Magic experiences that only exist on MTG Arena, and bring a different and valuable layer of depth to the game. Indeed, one of Magic's greatest strengths is that there are many new ways to play with many kinds of players. Whether you are a veteran or fresh face, whether you start on tabletop or online, and whatever your favorite format, we're glad to have you as part of Magic. That's just fluff. Of course, this growth also brings new needs. All our designed main formats are important, and we want to assure players there will be content coming to MTG Arena for each of them. Here are some of the things you'll be seeing later this year. First and foremost, Alchemy Baldur's Gate itself will be bringing new cards and rebalances to Alchemy and Historic later this week. So this is specifically for Alchemy and Historic, not Standard or Explorer. Hello, Sabrina. It's only the formats that use Alchemy cards. Later this summer, we'll be releasing 2 new anthologies. Now, this is something we haven't seen for a while, an anthology. So what an anthology is, it's basically, it's not a set, you can't draft it, you can't open packs for it, it just shoves a bunch of new cards onto the platform, and you can buy the entire thing with real money, and you just instantly gain access to all the cards, full playsets of all of them, or you can just craft them using wild cards, which is probably the smarter thing to do. Just kind of depends on how many wild cards you have hanging around. So Explorer Anthology 1 will contain 20 Explorer legal cards from iconic powerhouses to offbeat favorites. So we're going to see a wide range of, strong cards and just fluff that people like. And yeah, those will be going to Explorer. So probably cards that are significant to Pioneer, if I had to guess. And then Historic Anthology 6, because we've already had 5 Historic Anthologies up until now, will contain 20 cards legal only in Historic, bringing new possibilities to our broadest and most powerful format. I wonder what this means, because if it's not bringing in Alchemy cards, since those aren't going to be legal for Alchemy, and it's also not going to be legal in Explorer, because Explorer is kind of just supposed to be an offshoot of Pioneer, this means we're talking about cards that are older than Pioneer. So like modern cards, maybe even legacy cards. Like, we're not going to be seeing the dual lands or anything like that. We're not going to be seeing Black Lotus, but I do wonder what this means. I'm kind of curious about what those will be. But anyway, then for standard players who want to fortify their collection before rotation, we will be running several weeks of extra premiere drafts for the past year's sets, starting with Innistrad Midnight Hunt. Dominaria United will bring new content to all our formats in the fall, followed by the Brothers War towards the end of the year. So those are the 2 main, big sets that are going to be releasing. Each of these sets will continue to receive supplemental Alchemy cards, Alchemy card releases in the weeks following their releases. So what that means is, all these sets will have their, physical print cards put in digital, and then they will adjust them as they need to rebalance them for Alchemy. Oh, one thing I want to just say here with Alchemy and Historic. When a card gets rebalanced in Alchemy, it also gets rebalanced in Historic. And that is not a good thing. Because some cards get rebalanced in Alchemy that has a smaller card pool because they're too strong, but they were fine in Historic, and now they're just too weak. Treat these 2 separately, please. Treat Alchemy and Historic as 2 separate formats, because, believe it or not, they're 2 separate formats. Anyway, although no single card set or anthology will ever be able to support every single mode in Magic, We want to ensure players have new and exciting content to enjoy in all our supported formats. Let us know what you're most looking forward to. Okay, rebalancing. I'm gonna kind of skim this. I'm not too concerned about what they're rebalancing here. Yeah, is it spells with Arclight Phoenix? That might have been the reason why Expressive Iteration was banned in Explorer. Yeah, they don't want to eliminate archetypes altogether, but they just want to kind of challenge them, make them so they're not overpowering and dominant. That's fine. Like, if a deck called, like Arclight Phoenix is too strong, yeah, nerf it, please. Yeah, spell-based decks. They're trying to get as many archetypes as they can in here. And we're also banning one card in Alchemy, Grinning Ignis. Yeah. I imagine that would be useful for combo. Yeah, it's recently surged as the centerpiece of a powerful combo deck. Could you tell me what the combo deck is? I don't know what the combo is. Although we considered rebalancing it, or a related card to remove the combo, our attempts would have either effectively removed it from the format entirely, or turned it into a completely different card. In situations like this, a ban is still the most appropriate action. So this is interesting, and it actually shows me a little bit of a light, like a light at the end of the tunnel, or a silver lining to Alchemy. So, cause like, the way I see Alchemy, like, it's not a bad thing. Like, the idea is, in Alchemy, if a card is too powerful, instead of banning it, they can just rebalance it. And here's one of the positives of Alchemy, because in a digital-only format, or in a digital-only area, like Arena, you want to be able to play with the cards that you own in your collection. And rebalancing a card is the best way to preserve that card being used, like being a thing that you can use in the format. It also is a little bit of a sign of greed, because just to kind of reiterate a little bit of a rant that I went on during Friday nights with Ian the other day. A big part of the Arena economy is wildcards, and if they ban cards, they have to give you wildcards, but Arena sees wildcards as money, and they're just giving players money if they ban a card. So instead, if they focus on Alchemy, a format where they can rebalance cards instead of banning them, they don't have to give you any money. However, what this does tell me is they're still entirely willing to ban cards if necessary in Alchemy. It's still not all about rebalancing. They absolutely 100% will just hit it with the ban hammer if it becomes too good. And a rebalance won't fix it the way they want to fix it. So that is a little, like, it's a double-edged sword, because on the one hand, people can't play Grinning Ignis anymore. However, they can, because, fun fact, Grinning Ignis is only banned in Alchemy, not in Standard. Or even Is it banned in... They only said alchemy, so it's not banned in historic. It's also not banned in... Explorer. So, yeah, you've got options. Historic has much more robust tools to disrupt to outrace this combo, so it will remain playable in that format. Yeah, so Historic is a more powerful format than Alchemy, mostly because in Historic it has access to a much larger card pool, and a lot of those cards are pretty strong. So the combo isn't that big of an issue, but they will continue to monitor its behavior, so if the combo does become too prevalent in Historic, they will take action. Again, I have no idea what the combo is they're talking about, but it sounds powerful. Like, being able to produce mana is powerful. Let's see, for full details, yeah, check the ban list. Okay, we're almost to the end of this. Renewal rev-ups. Renewal revs up. What the fuck does that mean? I don't know what that subheading is supposed to mean, but let me get a drink. So the release of Alchemy Horizons Baldur's Gate also begins our first step towards standard rotation this fall. If any of those words sound strange to you, you can check out our full guide to renewal and rotation. Okay, so, yeah, we're about to hit another rotation season. When was the last rotation? Was that last fall? Hang on. Is it... Hello, Tack. I remember once upon a time, rotation was on an 18-month schedule. Is it now a 12-month schedule? Because that would have been with the release of... I have no idea. Whatever. But yeah. This fall, there's gonna be rotation. So that means we're gonna be saying goodbye to a lot of the old sets, and we'll be getting the new sets. So, updated new player decks. So, if you're a new player and you do the color challenge stuff, you get free decks, and they're updating those decks to make sure that they're all still standard legal. Jump In is the permanent form of Jumpstart, which was a little bit of an experimental thing. It's kind of like a draft. It's a good way to get cards early on, and especially if you're not good at drafting, you can have Jump In. Yeah, so themes from the rotating sets will be retired, while remaining packets will be revised to contain only cards that won't be rotating, and they will throw in new packets from Baldur's Gate. Updated in ICRs. Players will now only receive ICRs from stuff. Quick draft. For the time being, quick draft events will only be made of sets from Innistrad Midnight Hunt. Now that rotation is only a few months away, we want to ensure any rewards you earn will be yours to play with for many more months to come. So yeah, because rotation is happening, they've done all this stuff to ensure that players that get rewards are still going to be able to use those rewards later. Yeah, Magic was the card game, is the card game. Magic is the card game that I got into in high school, when me and my friend were kind of being like, yo, there's these 3 big card games out there. There's Magic, there's Yu-Gi-Oh, and there's Pokemon. And Magic was the one that I got into. I don't know, just hit right. Yu-Gi-Oh didn't hit right because we weren't playing it right, because we were playing it in the way of, you know, you're allowed 1 normal summon per turn, and if you want to summon anything that's bigger than level 5, then you have to tribute summon, and if you want to summon something bigger than a level 7 or higher, then you have to tribute 2 things. But also, if you're allowed to free normal summon anything that is level 4, why would you do a level 3 or 2 or 1? Level 4 is just better. We didn't know anything about special summons or anything like that. It was literally just the 1 normal summon per turn, and if you play a big thing, it has to be a tribute summon. That's all we knew, and it was not interesting. It was very boring, so I got into Magic instead. But now I'm very much into Yu-Gi-Oh! But anyway, that is the state of the game. Now, here is my feeling about the state of the game. Let's swap back over to the game. So, as I mentioned earlier, Arena heavily focuses on Standard, and it just allows you to play other formats, and they want to, you know, accommodate players that want to play other formats. Let's just, there we go. Hey, we got a 750. So they're very heavily focused on Standard, and that's what the Masteries, up until now, have always been. It's only Standard. No one cares about Alchemy, no one cares about Historic, it's always Standard. So why does this set have its own mastery? What happened in New Capenna? Like, I was confused the other day when I was like, I got a notification like the New Capenna Mastery is only gonna be open for another 48 hours. Like, am I reading that right? You sure it's not 48 days? No, it's 48 hours. Why? Why is the New Capenna Mastery going away? Because there's not another Standard set coming out for a while. It turns out it's Baldur's Gate. I have a few things to say about Baldur's Gate. So, like, a lot of the stuff they said in the state of the game is fine conceptually. It's more the execution that I have a problem with. I don't mind the existence of Historic. It's not Historic. I don't mind the existence of Alchemy. It's certainly a fascinating thing that exists, where you're allowed to, where like they give you these digital only cards that can only function in a digital only format, and the constant rebalancing of cards. Like, that's all stuff. It's an interesting thought experiment. It's kind of cool that they can do that. And up until now, I didn't feel particularly strongly about it. But you know that saying where if you put a frog in boiling water, it'll hop right back out. But if you put a frog in lukewarm water, and you just turn up the heat a little bit, the frog will boil itself to death. That is kind of how I feel about Arena right now. Because back when they introduced alchemy, I was like, I'm a little bit skeptical, you know. It seems weird that they'd have these digital-only things, but sure. Like, conceptually, it makes sense. I think it's cool that they're trying to make the most out of their most played, like their most played thingy. What do you call it? Not format. I guess format? Digital. The most played digital thingy. Because no one touches MTGO. Because they don't put any effort into maintaining MTGO. Like, they all want to drive everyone to Arena, and so it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy that everyone plays Arena, and now we're all stuck in this little mousetrap, this little cage. You know, they put these breadcrumbs of like, hey, we're heavily supporting this whole thing, and we're really excited about this thing. Everyone should go to Arena. And we're not going to put any effort or resources into maintaining stuff that isn't Arena, so you have two options, Arena or nothing. So everyone goes to Arena, and then now you're trapped in the little bear cage, the little arena. Yeah, the arena. You're trapped in the arena as a gladiator. You're a slave. You can't escape. And now you have to be subject to all their little experimentations. You know, you can't leave. And at first the experimentations seem fine, you know? They're just little, like, maybe like jabbing you with a needle once or twice and just, you know, nothing bad happens. But then they're taking off limbs and stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe this analogy is going too far. Point being, I feel unhappy with the state of Arena, and I feel like this has been building up to me being unhappy with it, just based on the fact that, like, yeah, it's slowly been building up for a while. And we're kind of now at the point where I realize, oh shit, this is starting to go a little bit too far. And it started with the mastery. Now, I don't... like, the mastery I have weird mixed feelings about too, because it's a very heavily monetization type thing, where it's got like the two tiers, the free tier, which is the top tier, and then the paid tier, which is the bottom tier. And you're like, okay, you get pack every other level if you don't pay, or you get a pack like every level plus a bunch of other stuff if you do pay. And this was, of course, the post, like the after the whole big update where Arena became even more of a money whore than it already was, because before the mastery system was introduced, it was literally just 15 wins a week will earn you 15 packs of the most recent set. And then 5 daily wins will earn you 5 daily packs. That's how it was. And then they introduced the mastery system, and now it's all based around XP. It's not based on number of wins, it's based on XP. And so now you're not winning 1 pack every win, you're winning a little bit of progress towards some XP that will slowly get you enough packs. That's one problem with Arena. let's just look in the store just to get rid of this thingy. Would you look at this? Now, I will say, one thing I do kind of like about Arena, in its current state, is card styles. Before, the thing with card styles was there was just the holographic card. Let me see if I can find bundles. Yeah, like these. This was the kind of card style that I'm talking about. It's like a 3D effect, but it wasn't all that interesting. Like, I personally liked it. A lot of people didn't really like it, but you know, it was fine. You know, this kind of like 3D effect where the card is slightly animated. But that was the only card style that existed. But now they have these different card styles with, like, this stuff is actually very cool and very nice. It gives you a lot of different options here. So this is one thing that I do like about Arena. Let's open some of these packs. Oh, I only have one new Cabana pack. Topiary Stomper, nice. Okay, let's go to the store. And let me see if I can remember what it's like. Play ABG? No. What is it? I'm going to Google here. Arena codes. What's the most recent code? Play HBG. Historic. H for historic. Okay. Play HBG. What? Play HBG. Okay, no space. There we go. We get our 3 packs from the Baldur's Gate set. And let's take a look at what we have here. So, because a lot of these cards are very much like, so some of the cards are going to be from the D&D set, like You Come to a River, I'm fairly certain was from the D&D set. Some cards are going to be like just cards that are brought from the Baldur's Gate Commander Legend set. And some cards are the historic specific cards, or the alchemy specific cards, like Follow the Tracks. Now, I will say I do like this card specifically, and here's why. I have a soft spot for this one card type, and those are gates. I will explain why a little bit later, but gates I have a soft spot for, and it's really cool that they have added more gates to the game. It's a little bit unfortunate that these gates only work in digital, like the Gate to the Citadel, Sea Tower, Black Dragon, Tumbledown, Manorborn, because they seek. That's a digital-only mechanic. But otherwise, I think it's kind of a cool mechanic. The fact that they've added in gates. Kobold Warcrawler is actually a really solid card, because it just gives creatures in your hand, perpetual haste. What else we have here? 4 damage to target creature or planeswalker for 2 mana. That's a pretty decent rate. Hell, I remember the days when 2 mana to deal 4 damage to a creature or planeswalker was all a card needed to be good. But this does more. What more does it do? If excess damage was dealt this way, note that excess damage, then you get a boon. With when you cast your next creature spell, it perpetually gets +X+O, where X is the noted number. So boons kind of act in a similar way to emblems from planeswalkers, where they're a thing that your opponent cannot interact with, and you get a benefit from it. But they're temporary. They trigger on the next time something happens, and then they're gone. Mind Spike. This one is actually kind of cool. Let's see, is this a... This doesn't seem like it's a digital only. No, yeah, this would still have to be a digital only card because its target opponent reveals each non-creature, non-land card in their hand. It's not that they reveal their whole hand, it's that they reveal each non-creature, non-land in their hand. And because in paper, they would have to reveal their entire hand so that you know for sure that they're not cheating. But in digital only, the game does it for them, so they don't need to reveal their entire hand. But this is a kind of cool one because it's like... It's kind of like... It's a weaker Thoughtseize. Because it only hits non-creature, non-land. But it has the upside of... If there's nothing to hit, you get to draw a card. Let's see what a rare is. Yuan-Ti Scale Shield. 3 mana, instant. Permanents you control gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Seek a creature card if an opponent has cast a spell with mana value 3 or less this turn. Interesting. Now, Dragon's Fire, that's a reprint. Blur. Interesting. The Beholder, that's a reprint. Keen Sight. When Scouting Hawk enters the battlefield, if an opponent controls more lands than you, search your library for basic planes, put it on the battlefield, tap them, shuffle your library. That's pretty solid. Yep, okay. And here we have a rebalanced card. So, the normal version of this one says it's Baby Lysaga Night Witch for 3 mana. Legendary creature, human warlock. Tap and sacrifice up to 3 permanents. If there were 3 or more if there were 3 or more card types among the sacrificed permanents, each opponent loses 3 life, and you gain 3 life and draw 3 cards. 3 permanents is a kinda heavy cost. However, if you can get the effect to work right, like you get the full benefit of the full effect, 3 cards is 3 cards. You get to draw 3, nice. The rebalance is they make it cost 1 more, but they increase its power and toughness, so instead of it being 3/3, it's a 4/4. Okay. And then here, we've seen you. Okay, here's a new thing with the Baldur's Gate, is they're bringing back an old mechanic from... What was that set called? Yeah, they're reviving an old mechanic from... what's it called? Throne of Eldrite. Called Adventure. That's these adventure creatures have a spell attached to them, and if you choose to play the spell side, you then exile the card, and then you later get to play the creature when you have the mana for it. And that's kind of cool. You know, Young Blue Dragon seems like a pretty solid card, especially in draft. Inspiring Bard, that's reprint. Ambitious Dragonborn. This one I have not seen before. Enters the battlefield with X/1/1 counters, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control and creatures in your graveyard. Ooh, interesting. Bounty. Use your weapon. Rider. Okay, a lot of these are reprints again. And Stick Together. Aha! Okay, this is... ooh, I like this. I've not seen this card before. And I love it. For a lot of reasons. Number one, flavor. I mean, just look at that art. And consider just your typical D&D party adventure. You know, you got your cleric, your rogue, your warrior, and the wizard. Party, by the way, a mechanic from not D&D Forgotten Realms. It's a mechanic from Zendikar Rising? Was that the set? Zendikar Rising? The most recent Zendikar set had a party mechanic involving a cleric, a rogue, a warrior, and a wizard. And people were speculating that would be a returning mechanic, or it would at least be a more heavily supported mechanic in the D&D Forgotten Realms set. However, people just kind of forgot about party, and there was no return of the mechanic. This is bringing it back in another D&D related set. However, it's not Forgotten Realms, it's Baldur's Gate. That's very cool. I also just like the fact that it's a bad board wipe, because every bad board wipe is one in which your opponent gets to choose to keep something, because very often they're going to choose the thing that you were hoping to blow up. But it's very flavorful, and for that, I like it. I also really like the art here. That's kind of cool. So remember how I mentioned gates earlier? That is one thing that I have to admit I am a big fan of with this new set. Like, if there's one thing that I like with the set, it's this. No, not gates. It's gate, singular. It would be just here. It's not basic lands. But it is only... Here we go. Land and show not collected. Here we go. Here are the gates. So these are the gates that were added with the Baldur's Gate set. We've got... Oh, I didn't even notice this before. These are also basic land types. Nice. So yeah, these are all the gates that were added with Baldur's Gate. You are not a gate, by the way. Go away. Neither is this one. That is not a gate either. Nor is that. I only want type. I only want the type. Irrigated farmland is not a gate. But yeah, see there on the type line. Land, gate. Land, gate. Land, gate. Now, none of these cards look very good right off the bat. I mean, they all enter the battlefield tapped. That's never a good sign. especially if they only have one color, but even the two color ones are just like they enter tapped, and that's it. They have colors. Cool. So why do I like gates? I like the things that support them. So let's get to... Here's Baldur's Gate, but there's also Gateway Plaza. This was a card that was added in with the War of the Spark and the most recent Ravnica block. It's a card, it's a terrible card. Don't get me wrong, it's bad. But it's a gate. It's Guildgate, Gateway Promenade, or whatever that one card is called, or Rupture Spire. Rupture Spire is one that people will know. It's Rupture Spire with the added gate type. Now you want to know why I like gates? Well, Maze's End. This, fun fact, when I first started playing Magic, all the way back in 2013, yeah, 2013, the set that recently came out was, well, it was right before the release of Theros, and so the most recent set would have been Dragon's Maze. And in Dragon's Maze, there's this card, Maze's End. Now, my friend who introduced me to Magic brought me to a tournament, just locals, you know, just Friday night Magic at my local card store. And I brought my terrible deck. It was literally just like one of the starter decks with maybe a handful of extra cards added in. Fun fact, that deck actually was illegal, but no one checked, and I didn't know. But it was actually running 5 copies of Azorius Guildgate when I was only allowed to run 4. The fact is, my friend poorly communicated what the legality of the limit card number is, because all he said was it's limit 4 of each card except for lands. He said nothing about basic lands, he just said lands. So I thought, I can just run 5 copies of Azorius Guildgate, and I did. I did get caught, but it was illegal, and I also lost every single game that I played because my deck was terrible. But one person I played against was playing this card, Maze's End. And the thing about Maze's End, it's a alternate win condition. You return Maze's End to its owner's hand, search your library for a gate card, put onto the battlefield, then shuffle. If you control 10 or more gates with different names, you win the game. Now back in the day of when this card was printed, there were only 10 gates, 1 for each guild. Since then, we have more than that. We have Gateway Plaza. I'm still not getting to Baldur's Gate yet. Yeah, we got Gateway Plaza. We also have, you know, all the guild gates. And now we also have these 5 gates from Baldur's Gate. And then there's another gate support card that just came out with this set. It's called Baldur's Gate. It's a legendary land gate. Note that Maze's End is not legendary. Tap. Also, this is the only gate, because this doesn't count as a gate. It is the only gate ever printed to not enter the battlefield tapped. But anyway, you tap it to add one color, or pay 2 and tap it to add X mana of any one color, where X is the number of other gates you control. So it doesn't count itself. That kind of sucks, but fine. So you're going to need... What the... Yeah. So you're gonna be needing 3 more... Yeah, is there a point where it breaks even? Because if you have 2 other gates, then you're spending 3 mana to get 2 mana, because you have to tap Baldur's Gate. If you have 3 other gates, you have 4 lands in total, you're spending 3 mana to get 3 mana, and then you have 1 left over. There's never a point where you get exact even. You're either making a loss or making a gain. That's interesting. Yeah. Anyway, I like this card. I like gates. And here's a little thing. Up until now, part of my problem with Arena, like playing Arena on this channel, is I don't really have a goal. I'm just always drafting to build up my collection. I'm always, you know, trying to get as many cards as I can, but I'm never building towards a certain deck. I'm never, like, trying to use my wild cards in anything specific. I think that might change with this. I might need to build a gate deck just for the memes. It won't even be good. It's just for the memes. So, yeah, I'll have a solid think about that, and I'll have to think about, is it... Would it be me trying to build it for... historic? Or would I be trying to build it for... historic brawl? Could do both, but we do have to keep in mind the number of wild cards I have. So, yeah. Yeah. But, yeah, I just kind of want to reiterate a few of my main points here. It's a little jarring to see the fact that this new set that has nothing to do with Standard gets its own Mastery Pass. It's also a little bit, like... we're kind of at that tipping point where very clearly Arena has made a huge shift from mostly focusing on Standard to now kind of mostly focusing on Alchemy. It doesn't really care as much for Standard, the paper stuff. It has it, but I don't think it cares as much as it used to. It's mostly interested in the digital only stuff, the digital side of things. So we're talking Historic and Alchemy. And I'm not sure how I feel about that. I used to be ambivalent because it didn't really directly affect me all that much, but now it kind of very much does. And it's like, I don't know, it's just very jarring and unexpected. I love you too, Sabrina. It's very jarring and unexpected, and I don't like it. I kind of don't like it. Because, like, up until now, if I wanted to avoid alchemy, I didn't have to try that hard. Because I could just play Historic or Historic Brawl, and I would see very few alchemy cards in it. Now, like, okay. There are a few cards in alchemy that do see play in Historic Brawl, but otherwise, yeah. I think my biggest issue with this, I think this is what it all boils down to. Because when I started playing, I played in Standard. Because here, let's go to the play menu. When I started playing the game back in 2019, I played Standard because that was all there was. There wasn't anything but Standard. Then they added Historic because, you know, they had cards rotating and people still want to play with those rotating cards. Then they introduced Alchemy when they started realizing, oh, this is a digital game, we can do digital stuff here. And then they added Explore as kind of a, people are upset that we added Alchemy, so we're going to add in a paper format too. Then they also introduced Brawl as a thing. It used to only be Standard Brawl. Well, Standard Brawl was like the only way to play Brawl, and it's a rotating thing that uses the same card pool as Standard, and it's limited to 60 cards. Historic Brawl, I think it might have existed. I can't fully remember. I think it did exist, but the function was that it would the function was that it still had the 60 card size. Only occasionally would they have events where it's like, hey, Historic Brawl with 100 cards! But then the event would be like a few weeks and then it's gone. But then they had like a whole thing where it's like, hey, everyone that wants to play Historic Brawl with 100 cards, you can now, and it's now permanently that way. And that was the moment where Brawl became less of a secondary Commander format that is trying to be similar to Commander without actually hitting it, and finally getting even closer to the feel of Commander. Because let me tell you, there's a huge difference between a 60 card deck and a 100 card deck. And also being able to use all the cards in all of Arena instead of being forced to use the small card pool of Standard. So the moment Historic Brawl came out as a fully properly supported thing, that's what I played. Like, up until then, all I played was Historic, because Historic let me use all those cards that I had in my collection, and yeah, it was just the equivalent to Modern on Arena. You know, I get to play with all my cards. And then they had Brawl, and Brawl wasn't that interesting. But then Historic Brawl is like, it's still not Commander, because you still don't have the 4 players, and, you know, there's a few rules that are slightly different from Commander, but for the most part, it's as close to Commander as we've ever gotten. And so at that moment, I stopped playing Historic Brawl, and now basically the only thing I play, I played Historic, and now the only thing I play is Historic Brawl, because it's close to replicating my favorite format. And now, with the introduction of this Historic Horizon set, Baldur's Gate, I don't get the same experience anymore. I think that's what this all comes down to, why I really have this distaste for the latest set. It's because it heavily impacts Historic Brawl. Because a lot of cards in Historic Brawl are now cards from this new Baldur Gate set, and a lot of those cards use the alchemy stuff. They use, Seek and Conjure and all this other stuff. They especially also have the cards that have their specializations. And I don't like that. I don't like the fact that this whole thing, it doesn't feel like Commander anymore. Like, up until then, like, it never was Commander, but I could at least have this illusion. There was this curtain that made me think it kind of looked like Commander, and it kind of acted like Commander, and so I treated it like Commander. And now they added in all these different cards that do things that couldn't be done in regular Commander because this is digital only. And now the curtain is gone. They pulled back the curtain entirely. It's now, oh yeah, no. Not only is this not Commander, this will never be Commander. We're not gonna do the thing that we're doing with Explorer and try and slowly build up our card collection so that we can eventually turn this into Pioneer. Historic Brawl is and always will be its own separate thing. It will never be Commander. And that is why I hate Baldur's Gate. Because Baldur's Gate was a set that tore back that curtain and was like, oh hey, all these digital only cards, not only do they exist, there's a lot more of them that now exist, and you cannot ignore them anymore. They're now a part of this format. Fuck you, Wizards of the Coast. You ruined what I liked about Arena. Or, you ruined my favorite thing in Arena. I should say it that way. You ruined the thing that I came to Arena to play. I don't touch any of these. I only touch this. And the reason I touch this is because I was living under the illusion. I was in this lukewarm pot of water thinking that this was my favorite format. And then you slowly turned up the heat, and now the water is boiling. That's what this is. That's what my issue with this is. Thank you for the hydrate, Haru. By the way, we didn't pull any of the specialized cards, so I do kind of want to show them off and show what my problem is with them. So, specialize. Not collected. Alright, sure, let's take a look at... Well, let's look at one that I'm familiar with. Viconia, Night Singer's Disciple. So see that image there on the right? that's how the card is in your hand. And all it is, 2 mana, 2/3. With an activated ability, you can exile a target card from a graveyard. And then you can specialize. In order to specialize, you pay the mana cost, or any other costs associated, but I believe they're all just mana costs. And then you have to discard a card that fits the color identity of whatever color you're trying. No, not that. What? No. I don't want to craft. Fuck. I accidentally crafted. I didn't want to craft, I want... What? How do I see the other thing? Oh, here we go. Jesus. Okay, I wasted an uncommon wild card on getting this card. Okay, so yeah, you see one for each color. It's got the 5 things it specializes into. And yeah, you have to discard a card that shares the color identity of the color you're choosing. So it can't be the base color, it has to be the additional color. So either the additional color is the base color, in the case of this Viconia, Disciple of Blood, or if we're talking Disciple of Rebirth, you're choosing white and therefore have to discard something that's white. Or if you choose Disciple of Arcana, you have to choose something blue. Disciple of Violence, you have to choose something red. Disciple of Strength, you discard something of green. All it does is, as far as the mana cost goes, it just adds in that 1 extra color, and it also adds in some power and toughness. I'm fairly certain the way this works is when the card gets returned to your hand, it maintains the new card. Like, if you chose Disciple of Violence, and Disciple of Violence gets bounced to your hand, you then have Disciple of Violence in your hand. It doesn't return to Nightsinger's Disciple. It's now Disciple of Violence, and now you have to pay the cost for Disciple of Violence. Also, notice how I said you discard something that shares color identity and not a card of that color. Because basic lands, let's say in the case of Swamp, a swamp is not a black card. A swamp is colorless. A swamp has no color. Lands have no color. However, they tap for color. That's color identity. This is a card that is associated with the color black. It, however, isn't black itself. So, yeah, this is basically you get to discard the swamp if you want to make it black. But yeah, let's look more. So, for the 1 mana, you get to exile target card from a graveyard. But then when this card specializes, well, it does similar things for everything, but let's take a look at, so when it specializes, you conjure a duplicate of a creature card that you've exiled with it. So you can still use its 1 mana ability to exile cards after you've specialized, but it's not going to do anything other than, yeah, it's not going to do anything with the specialization trigger. So you get a duplicate copy of target creature, and the duplicate copy will perpetually gain. You can spend mana of any color to cast this spell, because, you might discard your opponent's card that doesn't have any of your colors, and now you won't be able to play it. Now you can. And then, what else? Well, if you choose the black option, you go with Disciple of Blood. Now it has... You may spend mana, and when this creature enters the battlefield, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. So it drains. That's a very black thing to do. It drains your opponent's life and you gain. Disciple of Rebirth. You may spend mana as though it were any color to cast a spell, and if it had mana value 3 or less, you may put it onto the battlefield. So this is a cheap, like if you exiled a cheap creature, you don't even have to spend mana to get it, you can just get it as soon as you specialize. That's actually pretty solid. An interesting thing, it is a very white effect, and yet it's an effect that you don't think of as being very white. Then Disciple of Arcana. Choose up to one target creature card and up to one target instant or sorcery. And then same deal. Disciple of Violence. Conjure the duplicate. It perpetually gets +1/+0 and haste. Then the green one, the duplicate perpetually gets +2/+2. So it does things based on the different colors that you choose. The color changes. Like, it's all cool and interesting. I just have one problem with it, and that problem is it doesn't feel like magic. It feels like some amalgam that is trying to look like magic, but it isn't. That's my problem. Anyway, yeah. I'm not super happy with the new set, as you can probably tell. I'm not super happy with where Wizards of the Coast has been going, with making alchemy the most important thing that's ever existed, and like, I'm not saying I even cared about Standard, but after the introduction of alchemy, I now care more about Standard than I did before, because it makes sense. It's something I am used to and familiar with. Yeah. Like, we're kind of getting to the point of, like, the whole Ship of Theseus, where it's like, if you keep removing all the pieces and replacing them, is it the same ship? If you take away all the things that Magic used to have and add in new stuff that Magic has never had before, is it still Magic? Or are we playing a different game that uses the name Magic? I don't really know. So, that's where we are, and that's where I think I'll leave off the stream. I know we didn't play anything. This was all just a huge rant that I just want to talk about. And I could probably record this as like a YouTube video, but it's Wednesday. I stream on Wednesdays, so here's a Wednesday stream. I will probably, maybe next week, I'll actually do a draft with the set. And also, I want to start building a Gates deck. That is one thing that I want to do. I want to make Gates work. And I'll think if I want to use a deck list I find online, or if I want to make it up myself. Because there's certainly benefits to both. However, chances are that whatever I come up with myself is basically going to be whatever someone online has made. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. That will be next time. Next thing to look forward to, by the way, is on... So normally, on Sunday, I will be streaming Skyrim. Saturday for a lot of you. Because my Skyrim stream is back. My Skyrim series is back, I should say. So that's one thing. Yeah, so Skyrim's back. However, I am also planning a collab with Maisel, a Vtuber, who wants to play Sea of Thieves with me. So we're also planning that. I'm not sure when that will be. He hasn't gotten back to me yet about solid plans for when the stream will happen. So we'll see. It might be Saturday, it might be Sunday. If it is Sunday and I find out soon enough, I will move the Sunday stream to Saturday, so Skyrim will be on Saturday. And again, this is all JST that I'm talking about, so if you're living on the Western Hemisphere of the world, subtract a day. So Sunday is Saturday, Saturday is Friday. Yeah, anyway. I'm just kind of jamming and mumbling. I'm gonna find a raid target. Thank you all so much for coming. There are places you can support me if you find my card, which I still need to give Nightbot a command to do a card. So I can't do that just yet, but if you do want to... Yeah, if you go to my Twitter, you can find my card there. And yeah, it is a card with all my links. And as for here... Oh, hang on. No, never mind. This is Twitch. On the Twitch panels, you should be able to find my card in the About tab. There you go. Click on the About tab, you find my card. You also find a bunch of links. I have a Throne wishlist where you can buy me things specifically. I also have a... Yeah, I've got the Throne wishlist. I also have my tip page on Stream Elements if you want to support me directly that way. You could also sub. You are allowed to subscribe to me on right here on twitch.tv. And yeah. So we are going to raid. Here, I am going to type in chat or a raid message for whoever we raid. This is a raid message which you can copy and paste if you want when we get there. I kind of want to raid new because I haven't raided new in a while. But she is also currently BRB? And I don't know, I feel weird about raiding a streamer that's in BRB mode, so we'll find someone else to raid. Maybe a... Well, I will figure it out, but that's something I can do in the end screen. So, thank you all so much for coming. Hope you all have a great rest of your days. Bye bye.